Hello, our fellow true crime enthusiasts. Welcome back to the current current episode of you messed me up. Current episode of Morbid Instinct. Jeremy. Anyway, so it's the usual group of four here. Jeremy, Elaine, Colette, and Josh. And we are talking about, so we were watching the Netflix docuseries Catching Killers Season 2. And the second episode, which is called Thrill Kills, the Phoenix Serial Shooter. So this story is basically, it's a story that was a case that happened between May of 2005 and August of 2006 in the Phoenix metropolitan area. And it was basically just, they were having random like somebody was going around just randomly shooting people that were like out walking on the street, that kind of thing. And they were just kind of talking about what happened and basically how they figured out who did it and what they were doing, and that kind of thing. So I don't know who wants to start.
Well, they were in a vehicle, so they were driving around in a vehicle looking for prey,
right,
and shooting people.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And they did determine it had to be two people because
exactly.
one person had to be driving and at least two people, and one person had to be the shooter. But how scary! I mean, can you imagine? It's just random, and they don't even know. I mean, you could just be out walking, doing anything, minding your own business, and you may or may not be shot.
And you're innocent. You didn't do anything wrong. You're just walking down the street, and all of a sudden you're shot. It's like...
Yeah, for like no... Because it was all random people. None of them knew each other. They were all different races, different... I mean, some people lived, some people didn't. I mean, it was just very...
Yeah, it's just it seems very weird, that he would just like randomly come out of nowhere and just ride down the street, and then he's like, "Hey, you know what? It's time to shoot this person."
Well, didn't most of them die? Crazy. Most of them died. I think there was only one survivor, right? Because
8.
Oh,
no,
were there more?
Because there were because I know the first 3 shootings that the cop was talking about. He talked to all of them in the hospital. They had all lived.
They just weren't able to identify anything?
There were 27 different incidents.
What? Oh, wow. Damn. That was more than...
8. There were 8 killed, 19 injured.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they believed originally that there was a single individual that was responsible for 4 murders and 25 shootings beginning in May of 2005. And a series of 13 shootings in the same area were work of another person. However, they revealed that they believed the 2 series of shootings were related in 2006.
Wow, that's even worse than what I thought.
Well, yeah, and I didn't realize, I don't even think did it point out in the freaking episode how many charges he actually got? Because I didn't realize it was...
It must not have been to me, because I don't remember that.
He was
I read somewhere where they got between 8 and 80
Yeah, he was found guilty of 80 of 88 felony charges.
Oh,
it wasn't just he, it was they.
There was 6 counts of first-degree murder, 17 counts of attempted first-degree murder, 15 counts of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder and aggravated assault, 2 counts of arson of an occupied structure, 9 counts of animal cruelty, so they must have been shooting animals too.
Yep.
And it did say that they were
2 counts of conspiracy to commit animal cruelty, 24 counts of drive-by shooting, 4 counts of unlawful discharging of a firearm.
Okay, so let's go back to what happened, because you keep saying he and it's 2 people.
Oh,
but that's what he...
I was just saying, because I don't know if they actually specified it. I'm assuming that the one that was doing the shooting was the only one person, and then the other person was just mainly driving.
Hold on.
Okay. Go ahead.
Hang on. We got to start with the girl. We got to go to how they...
The survivor, the one of the survivors that she was shot.
For the first survivor, what was her... I forgot what her name was.
I have it in here somewhere.
But she... Because I remember she said that her and her fiance or husband or something were driving, and they got in an argument.
And she got out of the car
and started walking, and then she felt like she was being watched and followed.
She felt something in the back of her head.
Yep. She thought it felt like bee stings or something in her head. But she was smart enough to turn around because the cop asked her, well, did you see the car? And she said, oh, I absolutely did see the car. She said it was a 2000 Toyota Camry and it was light blue color. So that was already a great lead for them.
Yeah, I don't see that.
Especially
and I remember the cop saying
what
too,
type of car it was.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Well,
it.
and the interesting
Ashley.
about her too
Her
is
name
because-
was Ashley Armento. She was
that sounds
shot.
about right.
And yeah.
And I remember the cop saying that when he originally went to talk to her in the hospital, he saw the x-ray of how she was shot and he thought, oh, she's not going to live through this. And then he walks in the room and she's totally coherent and could tell him about the car. Well, oh, am I looking? Oh, sorry. Because I'm looking at there. I'm talking to Colette and Josh over here on my screen instead of looking at the camera. Sorry.
That's okay. But
it happens.
Yeah, if Ashley didn't survive, then they would have still been looking for the guys probably, because
right. And then they had a guy who came forward, Ron Horton, I think his name was, that said that they should look at Sammy Dietman, I think his name was Dietman or Deitman, that they should look at him. And the cop met with him, was asking like, why do you think? And he said something about they were talking about that they think that they killed a woman or something like that. And then they were talking about they got a surveillance team that had been doing like drug enforcement or something to follow.
It was a sergeant Don Sherrard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and his
Sherrard, like that. Yeah,
he was a drug investigator, and he had a team of 8, and he sent them all out. They were assigned to the case, and they were sent out to look for this car. And that's how the story went.
And then they saw it. They were following it, or I can't remember. They were following it, and they went to like a bowling alley or something, and they saw the Sam Deitman guy get out of the car, and then the guy driving went to like the mall, and then he came back.
Yeah, the other guy, not Sam. Sam was dropped off at a bar, and then the other guy proceeded to go to the other place, and they followed him and found him there. So
right, and they went to the apartment or something,
and they did find out his name.
And the driver was Dale Hausner. And then I remember one of them, I can't remember which one of them. One of them walked out the night because they watched them overnight in the apartment. They didn't come out. I think that was after they had followed them around like all night because they were worried that they were going to watch them kill somebody. And then the next morning or something, one of the two, Dale or Sam, walked out and threw trash away. And they went and got the trash out of the dumpster, and it had like a map in there of basically showing it with like, I think it was like red and blue dots or something showing different locations.
Oh,
things that happened. And I think they found a couple other things in the trash.
They found Robin's name on a scrap of paper.
Oh, yes. So one of the people that died, they found and her date
of birth and the day she died. They found on the paper. And then also, you're right, they found the blue and red dots on the map. And some of those locations were where murders occurred.
Yep.
So they were matching that up to them too. So, yeah, things were coming together.
And I know at one point they said, I think when they went in the bowling alley, because they had put a tracker on the car, but they opened up the trunk and saw like a duffel bag or something. Because I remember the cops saying, was it big enough to have a gun in it? And they were like, well, yeah.
Well, I think Sam Dietman took it out of the trunk and put it in the back seat of the car. That's when they saw the duffel bag and the size of it. So then that's when they were worried and they were tracking them and following them and all that stuff.
Yeah, worried that they were going to actually see.
But I wonder if they saw them, the police tracking them, because they didn't do anything that night. They were slowing down.
I'm sure that they probably knew that they were being followed.
But I remember that sergeant guy talking about that they made sure that they were close enough, almost like to distract them from doing something. Like making them know that somebody's around them, like.
And I think they must have known because they didn't do anything that night. They went back to their home.
Yeah.
Because the way that they were doing stuff, but the only thing is like throwing away the trash. That seemed like they were throwing away evidence, and they didn't think that they were going to go over there and grab it.
Maybe they think that
skull.
nobody was there or something. Maybe they didn't think.
That's the
they
thing.
Figured.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't.
I mean, depends on
they
how long they went through until they noticed that they were being followed too. So I mean, they could have been not noticing that they were around them all day and only noticed them from like they were like, hold on, is that the same car? That type of thing, like way later on in the day, like after they already tossed out trash and do
Well, I
all
mean, they
that
may
stuff.
not have known they were being
But I
followed
mean,
because they said he had different guys, so they could have been in different kinds of cars.
well,
Well,
that
maybe,
is true
but
too.
staying close enough so they knew that they weren't alone.
well, maybe they just didn't find any prey that they wanted to shoot
That
at.
also, I mean, it could be any sorts of reasons why they didn't do it then when the cops are around them. I mean, it could be any sort of reason.
Well, one thing that I thought was odd because they told the one investigator, Clark, that he couldn't arrest them then, but then hours later when he goes home to rest, then they're sending them in to arrest him. So it was like, I can understand why he was upset with the investigation because he wanted to be there for the arrest. He had been agonizing over this for hours. Yeah.
And then they're like, and then when he goes to sleep, then they're like, oh, okay, it's time for.
We're going to arrest him now when they didn't have any more evidence.
They don't have enough to. Well, because they tell them at first they don't have enough, and then all of a sudden, oh no, do it because it's public safety.
Yeah.
But I understand that too because they had shot at so many people. So.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I think the detective was upset too because he didn't want them. He wanted to make sure they had enough because obviously he doesn't want the case to fall apart either. And then not get convicted.
Yeah, exactly. And he wanted to get them off the streets.
Right.
Like, I could see how you could see it in them when they were even talking about it, that how it bothered them so bad that these guys were out on the streets. They wanted to get them off the streets.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, because you don't want people to be freaking out even more about them just going out and shooting random people. So, like, it would have caused more of an issue because people would have, like, had bad faith towards the cops, too, at one point if they didn't catch them.
Didn't do it.
Yeah, if they didn't catch them, people would be pissed off at the cops and make things worse for them, so they had to just get them.
I'm sure people were scared. Because people were just walking around getting shot. So,
yeah, especially.
I wouldn't want to walk around the streets when somebody's shooting at people just walking around.
Yeah, especially when you're by yourself, and like it's like the woman that survived too. It's like you already feel worried when you're walking outside by yourself, and then just imagine it where somebody's just popping shots at people, like random people. So you're like, what did I do to get shot at? And it's like literally nothing. They just decided to just shoot at whoever they felt like that night.
Well, what I thought was great was when they did arrest them, and then the Clark guy, he's trying to figure out which one he should talk to first because they did arrest them, and so they didn't have enough evidence on them. So they had to basically get a confession from one of them. They had to break one in order to keep them in jail. So I can imagine where their mind was then too. Who do I try and break first? And then they go with the Dale.
Easier to break, yeah.
And then they go with the Dale guy because he looks like he's fidgeting some, but then he's the one that doesn't break. It's Sam that turns around and gives all the information that's needed to put him on trial.
Well, he did say though that Dale got nervous when he showed him the map.
Yeah,
and then he kind of
you can see it in their video. You can see how he's scanning the map, going, oh crap, what do I do now? And then he shut down and wouldn't talk at all. So that was the bummer. But hey, they got it from Sam and then went from there. So
yeah, went from Sam said Dale was the shooter and he admitted his part in it. I mean, obviously his part in it.
Well, apparently it sounds like he didn't shoot as much as Dale did, but who knows that that's true either. So
I mean, they could have. They were both into it, so I'm sure that they both like had something to do with like anybody that they shot at.
well, yeah,
And they probably just decided, and they could have been like rock paper scissors for whoever drives. Or
it did sound like a game to me that they were doing. It sounded like,
well, that's the only thing that would make sense. They seemed like they were just like, oh, well, let's see how long, because I don't even think that they really cared about getting caught either. Like the
Well, because it makes you think though. Why was it red and blue? Like was, like Sam's red and
true.
well, probably.
You know what I mean? Like, was it really a
what
game?
I'm guessing is
I wonder if that's true.
Probably that's a thing. Like one person was doing it with red and one was doing it with blue, but also at the same time, I could see it being like these were murders in red, and then these were just like that they survived out on blue. You know what I'm saying? That could be also a thing, but like both are good plausible options.
Yeah.
That it would be like whoever decided to shoot at people. That's like what it was that night.
What I don't understand is why they threw the map away. Why they threw this evidence away?
Yeah,
I would have thought they would want to keep
implicated themselves with that. That's why. But that's why I say that.
See, maybe they did know somebody was
evidence because they thought somebody was following you.
Yeah, maybe they did.
But why would you do it when you knew that the cops were following you? That was a dumb move on their part. That's the only reason why I'm wondering if they just didn't think that that was going to be enough to implicate them. Maybe, I don't know, or they just didn't think that the cops were watching them at that time. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe.
Do you think this was an easy crime for them because they were in their vehicle, they were far away from the people that they were killing? Do you think it didn't affect them really because they were so far away from their victims?
Yeah, and know that most of the people survived, like a chunk of the. So like they weren't up close with the person, so you couldn't see their. Like they probably shot a lot of people in the back
easy out
too.
with the car. You just
they probably did. They probably shot a bunch of people in the back, so you didn't have them seeing you.
Yeah.
So like it was like a coward's way of doing it because they didn't want to be like they don't want to sear their faces. They didn't want to like get their hands dirty type of thing. They just wanted to shoot people, and then just some people died, some people didn't. And that's why they didn't really care. Somebody dropped a bowl or something. It sounded like.
That was probably
like, all the noises coming from Josh's.
I know. I don't think that was us. That wasn't me that time.
I don't know. It might have been here. It might have been here. My dog's bowls. Maybe Dad tripped over it.
That's what it is. Probably one of the dogs tripped over one of the bowls.
Our dad did.
All I heard was clang.
But yeah, this was, I didn't care for Dale really when he was being interviewed. The way he was just outright lying, saying, I haven't murdered anybody. I don't murder anybody, blah, blah, blah. And he kept going on about it. It just irritated me because you knew that he was the one. Right. You knew him and Sam were the ones. And he just kept denying it like they weren't going to figure out it was really him.
Well, I mean, he probably went to jail before, so he probably figured if he would just say that it wasn't him, that
they would just believe him, or what?
No, that they wouldn't have enough evidence to charge him with anything. That's probably what I'm guessing. Is that
because they didn't bring anything
before.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm assuming that he's been to jail before. I don't know if he was, but like, he could have watched a lot of damn dramas too, like cop movies. So, like, he could have done that, and he automatically thought, like, if they didn't have anything, because they were just talking to him then, so he could have been like, okay, they don't have anything, so I'm just going to keep saying, deny, 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 the whole time.
But
because some people do that. Some people do that
But then they
when
had
they're
the map,
charged.
though. Why would they have the map?
Well,
he knew they had the map.
well, that's the thing. It's like, the
they
map doesn't. It's like circumstantial. I think it doesn't implicate them that they did
You remember
the crime.
them saying when they arrested them that he freaking fell asleep and was like sleeping at the police station? Like, you get arrested and you're just gonna like fall asleep and just go take a big old nap.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I say that's probably a dude that's been to jail before. He knew exactly what they were gonna do, like how they were planning on.
I see that a lot, though,
him and all that stuff, and especially because he knew that if they had anything of note to charge him with, they would have just charged him. They wouldn't have interrogated him. So that's why I think he was just so hardcore, like, oh, I'm not going to say nothing. I'm not going to implicate myself. And then when he saw the map, he was like, crap. And then he shut down because he knew that then he was like, okay, they have something, so I can't say anything else.
Well, she was talking Sam, Josh. She was talking about Sam. Because I see that a lot, though, in these shows. Is they'll be in the room and they're sleeping. I think for me, I think it's because they've been doing these crimes for so long, they're exhausted, and when they're finally caught, they rest because they've been so exhausted, afraid they're gonna get caught. So for me, that's what I think.
Too. It's a possibility.
Because I see it a lot in people when they're going to be interrogated in the room. They're sleeping in the corner because they're so tired. So.
Well, I mean, from the perspective of these guys, like I was saying earlier, the dude was convicted of 88 felony charges, but he was sentenced to death, but he died.
Oh, yeah, he killed himself.
In 2013.
Yeah.
Samuel Dietman got life.
Without parole,
without the possibility of parole.
And then wasn't there like somebody had a brother that got convicted of something too?
Dale's brother also was convicted.
They said he helped.
Oh, really?
Oh,
he got 20. Yeah, he got 25 years.
Oh, so they had another guy involved. I didn't even know that either.
Oh, so they just only talked about the two. So, geez.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean,
why would they even bring somebody else into it? Oh my gosh.
I don't know, because crazy people do crazy stuff. That's pretty much the easy way to, like, it's just crazy to me how people could do this and just, like,
well, we say it in every podcast.
Yeah, it must have been like a pleasure for them too. Go ahead, Jeremy.
No, I'm just amazed at anybody that can perform these acts because I can't even think to do them.
Yeah, I've never thought about hurting anybody. I'm like, I've thought about I don't know, fighting somebody. Probably that's the easiest.
I've been in plenty of fights myself, but there's
fighting
never been
people
a thought
is different for killing somebody. Yeah, it's like a whole step
but it's not
above.
Oh, hey, let's go get in a car and just go shoot people on the side of the road. That sounds like fun, right?
Okay, it's where the line goes. It's like, were you guys all drunk and we're like, oh, let's see about shooting people. We got this rifle right here, or whatever they were using.
Shotgun. It was a shotgun.
Or a shotgun. Yeah. So then they're like,
that's one of the worst guns ever. I mean, that's where you do damage with a shotgun.
I think that's essentially why a lot of people survive too.
Yeah, because of the distance. They were far away.
They were farther away.
If they were close up, they would have been gone.
Yeah.
Wasn't that also in the trash? There was like a
Dr. Pepper can.
Yeah.
They found like a shotgun
inside the can.
Inside of
it was like that's.
Yeah, so dumb. It seemed like then they were trying to get rid of stuff, but they weren't thinking clearly. Obviously.
Oh, obviously, but they were also meth.
Oh yeah, so they probably were not in all.
So I mean, they weren't thinking of that. They were thinking of what they could do, not how they were going to do it necessarily. Yeah. I mean, that's the one thing I noticed is shooting people is not that difficult from far away. I mean, all you have to do is aim and shoot. I mean, it's not like these dudes the last one we talked about, BTK, where he went and he targeted his victims and then broke into their houses, cut their phone lines, and did all this methodical stuff, performing the acts and then suffocating his victims, which we already know if you watch true crime, does not take seconds. It takes like minutes to perform.
Yeah.
So, and he did this over and over again. Like so shooting is like you drive by somebody and you shoot and you leave. I mean, it's like, so it's like,
yeah, I mean, like we said before.
If you're doing like a drive-by where you're shooting somebody and driving off.
It's a coward way of killing somebody, in my opinion.
Yeah, ambushing them and just
shooting them. Not only are you shooting from far away, but you're driving off in a vehicle really fast.
Yeah.
So,
and these are all innocent people. They didn't even know. They're just going around, driving around the streets looking for victims to shoot. It's like, how crappy is that?
Like the thought process too.
And unfortunately,
like,
most of them were younger than 30.
Wow.
There were 3 that were 20, or 2 that were 20. One that was 22, one that was 28. Those are the ones
they got convicted of murdering.
And 2 that were 44. No, those are the ones that they killed.
Well, it reminds me of a hunter. They were out hunting for their prey. And, you know, it's so sad.
But I mean, it still doesn't, it's just, this one was just, there was no rhyme or reason for, any of them, there's no rhyme or reason for. But
it's a pointless thing. It was like trying to be cool or whatever the reason was. It was stupid. And then people died off of just walking down the street. It's gonna.
I mean, I don't.
Well, the only thing for me is, like you said, it was like brutality, but senseless, because they were all innocent and they didn't know what was coming. I mean, who would think that you would just go walk down the street and then you're going to lose your life because of it? It's like, so sad. As all these are, they're all sad.
Well, because
the thing is too, is it wasn't like just in like downtown Phoenix. It was like, you know, all the little burbs around it too.
Yeah.
So it, you know,
it seemed like they went all over the place.
It was not like it was centered in one place.
One was in Scottsdale, which is a ritzier area.
Yeah.
And then Tolleson. Then Mesa, which is where I worked for a short time when we lived there.
See, so they must have went driving all over the place, just looking for people.
All over the place, all over Phoenix.
Yeah. Wow.
But,
what drives a person to do that? I have no clue.
Stupid.
So
yeah, I think we're at the end, man.
Do you have anything else?
What's going on?
Well, I want to look up what the name is of the next one that we're doing.
Oh, yeah. No, it's the Toronto. It's like the episode 3.
Episode 3.
Yeah,
or 3 and 4 of Catching Killers season 2, which was the Toronto Village. Toronto Village.
Yeah, so the next one we're going to do is we're going to finish out season 2 of Catching Killers and do the Toronto Village Killer. So
sounds thrilling.
Yeah, all this death, man. Death.
I know, especially these ones that kill so many people. It's like they are really.
This one was the one that had ties to cannibalism, though, if I remember.
Yeah, this one has ties to cannibalism. They're targeting gay men.
Oh man, a rough one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of a real. It's like when you want to talk about messed up minds. It's like, poof.
Yep.
Why?
For real.
So.
Well, all of these don't make sense to me, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, none of them are. And this one, I can't say there was narcissistic tendencies either, because it was more like they were just...
Yeah, they were just playing a game, I guess, that going out like hunters and shooting their prey. It's like...
Yeah, hunting humans. That's what they were doing.
So...
Which is, ugh.
There was no mental... Well, they're mental because they were just killing people anyways, but there wasn't anything specifically seen that points to like the narcissism that I've seen in previous
it's just more
ones.
like, hey, we're bored and we're on meth. Let's go do this.
Yep.
I mean, okay, great.
Yeah, you can't make.
Okay, that's a great.
You can't make any rhyme or reason out of it. Yeah.
No.
But yeah, for everybody that made it this far in the podcast, I hope you guys have been enjoying these. And if you haven't subscribed to our podcast on your favorite podcast platform, we would love to have you guys. Whether or not it's Apple Podcasts or Spotify or iHeartRadio or any of those. We're on every single one of them, as many as we can get on. But we're also, if you're watching us here on YouTube and you are loving the content and you haven't liked and subscribed to our channel yet, we would love to have you there as well. And then hit that bell so you get notified when the new videos drop on the channel. And also, if you want a one-stop shop for all of our content, you can just hit our website at theheartofgeek.com and you'll see everything there. But with that being said, I'll pass it over to Elaine and we'll...
Okay, well, I was just going to say for our little 4-pack here and from the Heart of Geek, we'll say thanks for listening and we'll see you guys next time.
Mm.
See ya.
Bye.